Hey everybody, Dave Neal here, host of the Bachelor Recaps, a guy's review. If you guys haven't been following, I've been covering the Colton Underwood, Cassie Randolph restraining order issue that's been going on. I did not expect to be making 3 different videos about it, but new information keeps coming out, and I think it's really important for all of us in society to really digest what's going on here and talk about it. And I've been getting so many messages from all of you, private messages, comments on Facebook, Reddit, different places, telling me your own personal stories. It is crushing to hear that so many people have so many different stories dealing with restraining orders, and they never either had someone to talk to about it, or it's just been kept in the, it's been kept, I don't know, in situations where you just don't get to air out your issues. And I think it's important that we do, because a lot of times, like this issue with Colton Underwood, no one really realized in the public sphere how controlling and jealous and manipulative he was, or he actually is. And this is a situation where, you got to have friends that take your phone away and say, you're doing something wrong. You're obsessive. You need to go get a new hobby. You need to meet new people. You need to go on a voyage, a sabbatical, go into, the desert, go to Joshua Tree, eat some mushrooms, do something, but stalk your ex in her alleyway at 2 a.m. So I just got hold of the request for domestic violence restraining order, the original copy. So I want to read it, and at the very end, it'll go over some of the messages he was sending to Cassie. So stick around for that, and then hopefully this is the last video we have to make about this issue until, of course, they go to court for what I believe will be the real restraining order, which can go around 3 years. All right, so we go here. So name of person asking for protection, Cassie Randolph. I asked the court to order the persons not to do the following things to me or anyone listed: harass, attack, strike, threaten, assault, sexually or otherwise hit, follow, stalk, molest, destroy personal property. And everyone says, why don't they handle this privately? Because this is like violent stuff that can happen. This is violent stuff. You don't get to just make this private. This is not only something that's going to affect Cassie, but anyone who kind of surrounds themselves with Colton. And he needs to know that he's not the victim here, that he's not the guy who's, been heartbroken and he was just, trying to do the right thing. This is bad behavior that needs to be corrected. And maybe it's early enough that he can correct it. But I think it'll be good for him that all of his dirty laundry is being aired out there, because people can look at it and go, geez, that's not the Christian charitable man we know. So the stay away order, part 7 says they asked the court to have him stay at least 100 yards away from her home, job, workplace, her vehicle, her school, and also she noted her parents' home in Huntington Beach. Because, of course, that's where she found the tracker. She hired a private investigator to find out who was stalking her, found a tracker in her car, and that's when Colton admitted to her, I planted the tracker, probably wanting her to just, slow down and stop pursuing it, knowing she was going to find out it was him anyway. But, of course, that backfired. By the way, I got some messages from people I wanted to read. Just unbelievable stuff, the comments that people were leaving. Someone wrote in, she said, I'm a family law paralegal working in California. I see these kinds of issues every day. So it's mind-boggling how we don't talk about this issue more. It's such a devastating event that is so pervasive throughout all cultures and societies. It's also disgusting how often the perpetrator's behavior is normalized, passed off as love bombing, I will never give up, and virtuous. You can clearly tell Colton views Cassie as a possession that needs to maintain power and control over people, is where all domestic violence incidents stem. I deal with some very egregious cases, physical torture, psychological violence. However, domestic violence always starts small and escalates when perpetrators test their victims' boundaries. The more they test and pass, the bigger the actions become. I'm glad Cassie reached out for help when she did, and for the resources to do so. People need to understand these behaviors will always escalate. Isn't this incredible? So if anyone's out there with any sort of issues like this, nip that in the bud right now. Get help. If you're going to stay with someone, let them know what their issues are, define the boundaries, and just don't accept it if they cross them. Cole responded on one of my YouTube videos. She said, I feel like if a beloved, handsome celebrity NFL player and actor like O.J. Simpson could stalk, beat up, and ultimately knife Nicole Brown to death because she rejected him and saw something dark in him, who's to say Colton, another Golden Boy NFL player and reality TV actor, couldn't stalk and eventually kill Cassie for leaving him? Love and infatuation makes people do sick things. They think they're lost. They think they've lost something they have earned with that person, and they refuse to let another person have them. If he snapped this much over her breaking up with him, imagine what he'll want to do when she's moving on to a new interest. Plus, he's probably furious and humiliated that she's reported him and made all this public. He's basically undateable now into all other women. That is so right. Thank you so much for that comment, Cole. You guys are killing it with just how accurate and spot on you are with all this. Again, like I said before, take my willful or my ignorance here, my blissful ignorance that you don't get to see these problems firsthand as a guy. You really don't. And it's not a white knight of me to say that we're not all like that. I think most guys try the best they can, and they understand rejection and they move on and they become better from that. But then there's some guys that, whether it's they're so self-centered, narcissist, whatever, they can't see a life without that possession that they got, and they'll do whatever they can to stop it. And people are telling Cassie, most people agree with her on this, but there's some people that are talking about her being like wanting publicity and this and that. Colton's 6'5", 250 pounds. Love and hate are very similar emotions. So for him to go from whatever love he had for Cassie to this controlling, walking through dark in the night, can't control my emotions, and you want to relate it back to O.J. Simpson, at this point I think we can. I think we can relate it back to O.J. Simpson. He was very possessive in a relationship and would rather kill somebody, allegedly, right, rather than deal with her moving on. And it's just you can even talk about CTE. Brain injuries. I played football too, but these guys, 250 pounds, running into each other, just saying. There's some issues that need to be worked out. So there's actually additional text messages that were left in the back of the restraining order. And of course, since Cassie filed this restraining order request, the judge granted the temporary restraining order, the TRO, right? He already requested that. So next month, in October sometime, Cassie's going to have to go into the same room with the person she's getting a restraining order against and prove her case. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to do that. I can only imagine a lot of courage. So here are some of the text messages that were sent to Cassie from Colton, and it's bizarre. I mean, it's really, I wish there was some lighter topic that we could be talking about today, but this is insane. So he said to her, "I'm not like your ex. I'm not going to sit around and let you use me and abuse me. This playbook is all too familiar. I remember talking to myself when you went back and filmed your young ones with Michelle during Bachelor to clarify your position with him, and asking myself, if this chick just did that to her ex of 5 years, what's she going to do to me? I'm praying for you and hoping you have a deep dive within yourself and your motives with the people in your life. You have a good heart and good people in it. I hope you don't drive them away." It's very Luke P of him saying like, "Oh, I'm praying for you." Bro, we're praying for you. We're praying for you to get your head together. He said, "It's crazy to think we used to be in a position of love. I ask myself all the time how someone who I loved and loved me could do these things and then and say the things they do." She said, "What caused this? Why are you so angry?" And then he said, "You would ditch Linda in a second if a new opportunity came up." And then she said, "Fuck you for saying that. Linda's my friend, so fuck off." She's got her boundaries set. She's not dealing with this anymore. She doesn't have an obligation to deal with this. He said, "Because you're a selfish person who isn't ready to be loved, I spent 2 years loving you the best I could, and now I'm sitting here feeling like a fool. You've hurt me beyond words. I've always done nothing but be there for you, and you still disrespect me all the time. It's embarrassing. I'm over it." And this is that resentfulness that comes with love sometimes when it's toxic love. When it's toxic love, you can resent somebody for not loving you back. That's codependency. You do something for somebody, and then they don't appreciate it and return it, so then you resent them for that thing you offered to do them in the first place. And then he said the next day, "I apologize for some of the things I said last night. I'm lost right now. I'm drowning." So he's making her feel guilty for his issues. He says, "I'm sober. I also lived the toxic path for nearly 2 years. I know you see the best in people, as do I. I've tried for too long. She's a lost soul. Reflecting back on all the red flags, I ignored those. Reflecting back on all the red flags, I ignored those out of our relationship is what's killing me throughout. I promise I'm not crazy like Kaelin. I'm just more aware and not afraid to say anything. I felt my tongue in a lot of stuff and saved her multiple times. I've always put her first in everything everything I did. Want to know what I got in return? Her mom taking a trip to Paris with her. Her sister taking a trip to Miami with her. Her telling me she needs to feel independent and free. Her admitting she texted her ex of 5 years. Her seeing Landon, where does it go next? He goes, "I won't be embarrassed anymore. She can go on national TV and talk about something I begged her not to do, but this will be her last. She's an abuser." So he's texting a mutual friend saying, "I'm not crazy like Kaelin is." And he's also, how bleak is this? I mean, imagine if the worst thing that could have happened, which is that Cassie goes missing or something. She gets murdered. Imagine that, right? And then you have to read something that he says, "But this will be her last. She's an abuser." This is insane. In fact, her parents should know of all of this since they helped her make the decisions with her answers and her truths. So he's blaming her parents for her actions. She's a single woman in her early to mid-20s. I think she can make any decision she wants. So then he said, she went on Bachelor, the same show that caused me anxiety and depression for nearly a year. She knew that show fucked with me in ways no one else knew. It messed with her too. We agreed to not talk about our breakup. In the first place, she took it was the same people who harassed and abused me for a year. I know you know Cassie, and so do I. She's a kind-hearted person who wants to be loved. She just did this at the expense. She just did it at my expense this time. I have no one else in my life to talk to about this. I moved to California to be close to her and feel a part of your family. I don't have that anymore. I have no support system out here, and the one person who gets me doesn't want to be with me. I believe this is him texting her brother at this point. He said, I know I had plenty of issues or flags for your fam to deal with, but I'm not used to this either. I needed the same grace Cassie got, and instead I took the blame for most of it, dude. This is hard and confusing and lonely. I know I had plenty of issues or flags for your okay, and then he said, the brother of the year, by the way, he said So then the brother said, to be completely honest, man, this isn't a conversation that I feel like I can totally have right now. Not really sure I can talk much on this topic. Talk to her. It's just something you guys will have to talk and figure out. But as far as being lonely in regards to talking to someone about this, I'm sorry, man. That's a hard place to be, and I'm here if you need a call. But I'm not going to sit here and text back and forth about this. Just not my place. Then the brother says this. This is where it gets interesting. If that wasn't interesting enough, the brother says, I texted you because I saw you in the alley and just wanted to check to make sure everything was okay. Now, people that are on Colton's side, some people are still saying, let's wait for the facts to come out. You know, anything could be forged. Really? This is like next level. Like what? And then he said, I'm sorry I put you in a weird spot last night. So he admits that he was in our alley. Didn't take much of a judge to review this one. And now this was Colton to Cassie. He says, can you call? No response. Can you call? No response. And then he says, I just want to say I have no clue what's going on and where your head and heart are, but I do trust you. I know you, and I know what you told me about him and your relationship, and that's what makes this hard. I'm just sitting in bed trying to fall asleep, wondering if the woman I'm madly in love with is having a good time with her ex. I have a million questions, and all of them I don't know if I want to answer. My heart hurts a lot right now, and I miss my best friend, my lover, and the one person I never expected to lose. I've grown so much with you so far and had by the way, the blue to gray ratio here is not good. You know what I mean? If you're texting somebody, it's a seesaw. You better have a good relationship. He says, I've grown so much with you so far and had a list of things I was looking forward to talking to you about over dinner tomorrow. Anyway, I only wanted the best for you, and all of these feelings are coming from a place of love. Whew. Then she finally responds, Colton, I really care about you too. I know going through everything is very hard and sucks, and I appreciate you calling me to talk with me. But also, I don't want to make it into something it isn't. You know that us trusting each other and being cool with each other and caring about each other is still there. I don't think that is something that should be able to flip-flop so easily. And also, it's a different road we're navigating now that we aren't used to. Don't be upset. You know I care about you so much. You know that. And then he responded, can you talk? And then he said, Cass, I'm just confused. As much as I trust you, you knew this would hurt me a lot. I think that's mainly why I'm so lost right now. They've broken up at this point for several months. And then he says, Cass. And then she says, hey, can we just be cool, please? My mom isn't talking to anyone. I know you're hyper paranoid about things like that, but I wouldn't lie to you. I had no reason to. So for me and for you, let's just pray. Let's just be happy and not overthink or stress. I wasn't mad about the Linda thing. I just was requesting that you please don't call her about things because I don't think that's really cool. I just want this to be smooth. He said, Elias is in LA working next week and I'm grabbing a bite with him. I didn't call just to vent, bitch. It just hurts because I've never even had trust issues with you before and these kinds of things bug me the most. I think time and space is much needed right now, like you said. I obviously care and love you more than you ever will know, and I'm praying for both of us hard right now. He says that I hope at the end of the day, the decisions you make you the happiest. And then she said, I've never given you a reason not to trust me. We aren't together. So my decisions are not me wronging you. They are me being me and making decisions for me, which is exactly what we both should be doing. Of course I care about you and have your back in situations, but that's very different than me basing my choices on what you like or don't like. I feel like you aren't understanding how much I don't want drama. This is Cassie saying, I don't want drama. Private message, didn't want to have to report this. This is before she knew he was tracking her. You know what I mean? Yeah, she said, I care about you, but this continued anger and drama cycle has got to stop. It is not healthy. You do you, I'll do me. That doesn't mean we don't care and aren't kind. It just means we have to let go a bit in order to make things healthier. And then he says, if you get back and are out walking out for a run, let me know and I'll swing by the beach. It's like they're having two different conversations here. And look, I get it in the sense where I've been crushed and lonely, and when you're lonely and you let your mind get to you, you start ruminating. I mean, bad things happen when you have too much time on your hands. Bad thing. Throwing social media, I get it. But you also got to take the hint. We're about 7 text messages away from taking the final hint. He's still messaging people in her family. He's just doing weird things. And this is before she found out he got a tracking device on her. We're almost done. This message is sent from Colton to Cassie's friend, Kaelin. Colton said, Cassie is bouncing back and forth between you and Brighton. Ah, just like old times. Winky face. Then she said, leave me out of this drama. Haha, I could care less. I have a new ex I can't get over. LOL. Good luck to you and Cassie and Brighton. So I think that was their way of saying, I don't want no drama. I got my own issues. Back away. Oh no, this is the message from the anonymous phone number. This is the fake stalker that Colton created to Cassie. Hi, Cassie. You like playing games, huh? Let's play some games then. Let's just say we used to be family friends. Be young. Have a good time. You'll have nothing but regrets later with how you treat people. Smiley face, smiley face. 3:50 a.m. the next day. Smiley face. Next morning. Totally seems like you're growing up. LOLZ. Living at home still. Whoa. Then he says, was wondering how long it would take for you to run back to an old flame hookup. The whole town knows all you ever wanted was to be famous. Congrats, you got it. But at what cost? Super fake. Wonder what Colton will think about this. Does he know you have been seeing Kaelin too? LOLZ. What's next for you? Say hi to B for me. This is Colton sending this message. So these are messages sent from Colton to himself, okay? Stay with me. These are messages sent from Colton's fake stalker to himself. So he could show Cassie, like, oh, I'm getting stalked too. This is crazy. You know, we need each other. He said, rumors are true. Her family doesn't like you. You should hear how they speak about you. Colton, ? You do know she's just in this for fame. We heard her mom set this all up. Also, warning, Greg, Michelle is using him. You need to speak up. They're together right now. Dude, smiley face at 3 a.m. Why are you still attracted to Cassie? She doesn't like you, dude. You're too square for her. LOLZ. She needs, by the way, LOLZ. He said LOLZ too. So even his fake stalkers using weird LOLZs. Does everyone say LOLZs these days? I'm 35. We said ROTFL, rolling on the floor laughing. ROTFL? Whatever. The stalker said, she needs a bad boy, and you're definitely not that. Ha, 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 ha. The family obviously never liked you, you awkward fuck. Her mom made sure people knew that they were struggling with you. Rumor was having you in their house during COVID pushed them to tell Cassie to dump your lame ass. Great job. And now this is Colton texting Cassie. I woke up last night with 4 missed calls and a bunch of messages. And then Cassie says, who? What? WTF? And then he said, they send me messages and are acting like they know a lot about the family. It's sort of fucked up. Like, how do they know this stuff? They're also telling me they spoke with Cassie yesterday and will keep giving me updates when she's with other guys until I quote unquote speak up. And then she said, what do they get out of this? It is just ugly because it's pathological lying. I mean, I'm literally out of breath reading these text messages. All right. And this is it. Exhibit 7. Just like we had mentioned before, these are images of the tracking device that was found duct taped to the bottom of Cassie's car. Okay, that's what this is. Different images of the tracking device found at the bottom of her car. And that's it, folks. That's it. So the moral of the story is this: how can we make this less gossipy and more teaching moment? Well, you have to know toxic love when you see it. You have to know when you're being obsessive. And this can happen not just in relationships, but friendships, with work, with addictions, porn addictions, gambling. You have to know when something's taking up too much of your time, morning, noon, and night. And for Colton, he hasn't been able to get over her because he's had it in his head that he's going to win her back. And that might have helped him with his career in football and with other achievements. But when it comes to someone that you're trying to date or break up with, you don't get to treat them like a prized possession. You can't bench press your way out of this one. Do you know what I mean? So for Colton, the only advice I would give him and anyone in his situation is move on and try to find out what is the thing that this issue is triggering, because this is a deep-seated issue Colton has, and it's just this breakup that's bringing that out in him. It'll come again. He won't trust the next person. And like he said before, oh, you never gave me a reason not to trust you. So now because you have a reason not to trust your ex, that's why you're tracking her. Maybe, like I said before, if you have any reason not to trust somebody and it's a valid reason and you can't overcome that and you can't speak that with them, then the key is to move on and look for what you want in the next person. But for Colton, he's looking for something so toxic that no one's going to be able to, quench his insatiable thirst here. And that's the truth. So this isn't a white knight issue where, oh, we're not all, but this is an issue of serious potential violence. Let's see if I have this last one. Someone left a comment and said, people need to understand that these behaviors will always escalate. In some unfortunate situations, it may also become deadly. Thanks for speaking on this because I've seen many outlets make this a celebrity spectacle and do not seem to care about the violence portion. Look, that's all it is, right? So this is all it is that we're using this as an example for a greater good. I mean, there's a million things that need solved out there, but domestic violence, like someone said, it does cross throughout all societies. I've got everyone we've dated, men who are watching, everyone we've dated has dealt with somebody who's been in a domestic violence situation, or you've been controlling, manipulating, not realizing it. We've all been there. We've all gotten so addicted. And the thing I didn't mention before too, and this doesn't make it right, but you're battling chemical issues like oxytocin. So Colton, he lost his virginity to Cassie. That's what we know, right? So when you have sex, you release oxytocin, which is nicknamed the commitment molecule, and it bonds you to that person. Sometimes it bonds you for good reasons, like you get oxytocin when you breastfeed. That bonds you to your mom when you're a baby. That's good. When you hug someone, you get oxytocin. When you have really good sex, when it's the first person you've had it with, you probably dump a lot of oxytocin, okay? You have a lot of commitment to that person. You need to make that work. And that's not a good place to be. That's not a good place to be, to need to make something work. If it's not there, it's not there. You gave her a chance. You gave it a couple years. She wasn't for you, and now you're in her alleyway. I hope you've learned your lesson, and I hope that you really speak upon this to everyone and don't just kind of go in a PR wormhole and never talk about it. You owe it to all the people that built up your following. You owe it to the Bachelor Nation. You owe it to people that are victims of domestic violence to speak your story, to find the reasons that you went wrong, and find a way to overcome that. And know that you'll probably have this within you your whole life. You'll probably have the obsessiveness and the ability to get there your whole life. So take proper measures, meditate, journal, talk to people, go to Codependence Anonymous. Be proactive about it. And then Cassie, she did all the right things. She literally waited longer than most women would wait in a sticky situation. She probably wanted to dump him months earlier, but COVID hit and he used that as a reason to stay with his family. They've done everything they can for him. Now it's up to him to, figure it out on his own. I hope this is the last time we have to talk about this. If any other news comes out, I'll try to mention it. And then maybe in October, we'll talk about when they actually go to court. Hopefully, someone left a comment on my YouTube and I talking about having to get a restraining order. And I said, do you have any advice for people? And this is what they said, which could be really good advice. She said, when it came time to get the permanent restraining order, she decided not to. She said, you know what, let's just move on. And she said she wishes she kept the permanent restraining order because once you decide not to, it's really hard to flip that decision. So for anyone out there who thinks you might need a restraining order, get it. There's no reason not to. Move on. The guy shouldn't be within 100 yards of your place of work, your all these things, your alleyway. It's bananas. Get the restraining order and then, let them find somebody new and figure out their life. Anyway, this was a long one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And hopefully when Bachelorette comes around, we can get to more irreverent, fun Bachelor recaps because this is a little heavy, but I think it's a time for all of us to self-reflect and just find out how we can be better people. So anyway, leave a comment, subscribe, and if you want to check out any of my other content, big shout out to our new subscribers that checked out my stand-up videos, sketch comedy, and the other podcast playlists, the SAP, and all that jazz. So I appreciate you guys out there. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.